Welcome back to Songwriter's Tales. I'm Mark, and that's Craig, and we have a special guest with us today, Atz Kilcher. And Craig, I'm going to let you kind of do the little rundown on Atz, and then we'll get this going.
Happy to. Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
So just going back, a brief history of our, actually I haven't known you that long, maybe a couple of years, and I met you at Camp Southern Ground, which is Zack Brown's place, down here over here in Georgia, and it's on the south side of Atlanta. And Zack brings in veterans from all over the United States, men and women, all branches of the service. And songwriters like all of us get together and go over there and write songs with them when he brings them in. And it's an amazing, amazing place, an amazing mission that he's got. That's where I met Atz. So we're gonna turn it over to you right now, Atz, just to kind of tell us where you are right now. Just a brief little bit about yourself. I think most people know about you from Alaska, The Final Frontier, the television show on the Discovery Channel. But tell us more about yourself that maybe people don't know.
Well, most people know I have a daughter named Jewel. I also have three sons, Shane, Otsley, and Nikos, and they're all talented. They're poets, singers, songwriters, and my parents immigrated to Alaska from Switzerland, homesteaded, off the grid, no road, horse and wagon. You know, you traveled by boat in the water or horse and wagon when the tide went out. So Coleman lanterns, horse and wagon. That was my early years. Mom and Dad were a little different from most homesteaders back then. They were educated, they were cultured, and they didn't just come to get land. They wanted to actually start a new life far away from Europe, far away from Hitler. And they had a dream of raising kids in nature. They said it was an experiment. You know, you think of, let's have about 8 kids and just let them run wild and we were writing little books, we were doing crafts, we were telling stories, we were putting on plays, we were writing songs, and we entertained each other, and that was just the way we thought it was because we were pretty isolated. So very, very long story short, from that, there's a whole slew of talented people that came from Mom and Dad, and then me and my 7 siblings. My grandniece, Koryanka, is a movie star. She's been in a movie, The New World with Colin Farrell. She played part in Yellowstone or 1814, one of those, and Grinch Stole Christmas. Anyway, so The Last Hawaiian Princess, she was on that. So here you got a movie star, you got my daughter, you got a 12-year running reality show that was pretty damn popular, all because Mom and Dad trusted their instincts and said, what would happen if you mixed creativity with nature? And, most of us agree the experiment turned out.
I think it worked.
Pretty damn good.
I think it worked. Well, that I guess that's a good dovetail to the first question that I have. So you all grew up musical. What were did you have outside influences? What music did you listen to that influenced you as writers or as performers?
And what was the year of this, by the way? Just
you
might have said it.
We got a road in 55.
Okay.
But I was born in 47, so I was about 7 when we got on the road system. So I spent the first, 6-7 years of my life pretty remote, homeschooled up till that point. I remember we had the old wind-up phonograph, and we listened to a lot of classical music. John Philip Sousa. We listened to Burl Ives. A lot of folk songs. And then when we could get the radio station played from our battery that we had to charge up with our old tractor that we brought down the beach, took it up the trail, and we'd run the tractor around and around the field to charge it up again so we could listen to it. But it was pretty eclectic music, but I gravitated more towards, you know, the country folk, the country folk blues, that kind of music, and then of course when I got a little older, uh, it was the I don't know if it was the Nashville scene then, but you
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, Johnny Cash and all that kind of music.
Was
Waylon and all
did
those
you have
guys.
the radio? Did they have the radio, or was it all phonograph? Was it all you had to be in the house, or
No,
what?
yeah, no, yeah, we got the radio later, and the local radio station up in Anchorage, 200 miles away, played eclectic stuff. They
Yeah,
play Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis, Buddy Holly. You know,
yeah.
uh, just kind of a mix of music. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it never was. I wouldn't say, and I think my daughter Jewel said the same thing when she hit the what do you call it, the big time when you know. She really didn't know much about outside music even then. It was in the
Mm-hmm.
90s. So I kind of raised her the way I was raised, just kind of, we spent a lot of time was writing songs and singing our own stuff. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember one of her first boyfriends, Steve Poltz, he and her wrote the song, You Were Meant for Me to Get, Meant for Me and I Was Meant for You together. And he gave her a 101. Okay, these are the Beatles and these are the Byrds. And then you got Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And then he went and sang with the Allman Brothers. And then you got Bobby, to give her a little bit
A
so
little
she
bit of
wouldn't
music
look,
history, lever. Yeah.
so, yeah, so she wouldn't look quite as stupid. So,
Oh
so that,
gosh.
so that's kind of a little bit about my musical background or influences, but the biggest was always just making stuff up and putting it to music.
That's the best
So
way. I was going to say, we homeschooled our daughters as well, and our philosophy was life is school, and it makes a big difference on that end. It did for us. Works different with people. Everybody does their own thing, but and you can certainly do it the other way as well. But that's a great story, man. I didn't realize all that. What were you going to say, Mark? I think
oh
you
no,
were
I
ready
was
to.
just gonna I was just gonna say, I was just gonna ask you, do you remember some of the song, so were your parents songwriters as well? I mean, did the
No,
whole
they were storytellers. Mom played
Mm-hmm.
violin and accordion. My dad played a variety of homemade flutes. Uh,
Wow.
but I wouldn't say they were songwriters. My mom was a poet. She was a writer. She was
Mm.
a editor for a newspaper later on. Uh, yeah,
So you come by it honest. You just and then you just kind of kept it flowing into your kids as well. And
yeah, and I'm sure every songwriter probably tries to write songs that people are going to like, listen to, and maybe get some airplay or whatever it's called these days, and make a little money doing it. But yet,
mm-hmm.
you also hear time and time again that you can get so involved in trying to keep up with what's cool, what's popular, write
So
the kind
true.
of songs that's just like a cookie cutter, and then
Yeah,
you lose your own originality. So here's a cool story. So I just wrote songs about nature and horses and rivers and mountains, whatever. And everybody told me, you first of all they're way too damn long. You got to keep it under 3 minutes. I'm like, who in the hell made up that rule? Hey, look at some of John Prine's songs. Look at Gordon Lightfoot's the Railroad Trilogy. Hell,
that's
the
right.
record, the Edmund Fitzgerald. Hell, that song's 15, 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so I tried that for years, and then isn't it ironic or interesting that what got me into my current career, which is singing songs and telling stories to fellow veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I sang a song in Telluride for Guy Jacquet's Operation Encore veterans that were there, partnering up with Telluride Adaptive Sports Program to help raise money. So Guy wanted me to open for these 4 veterans. I said, man, okay, that'd be cool. So I sang a song called Child of the Forest about being raised, hating the homestead, hating the log house. I want to go out and be cool. And there now in my 60s, 70s, I come back and I realize I'm a child of the forest. That's where I belong. And I got to quit denying it. So I sang that song. The veterans sang their stuff. And then Guy Jacquet said to me, we'd like you to come down to Camp Southern Ground next year as a clinician. We bring in people from Nashville, all around the United States, to help these veterans with their music career. And right away, I thought, holy crap, I'm going to be there with Nashville heavy hitters. You know, a guy like Tim Nichols, what's Nichols' name? That wrote Live Like You're Dying.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on,
Was it Tim Nichols? I can't.
That sounds right.
Anyway, Tim McGraw recorded it. So I'm there with all these people from Nashville, and I said, what do you want me to do? And Guy said, we'd like you to talk about the healing power of music and nature.
Mm.
And I'll tell you what, this was, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I got such a high, such a rush, goosebumps, tears. I felt like I was getting a Grammy Award. I felt like, wow, finally just being who I am, singing the songs I'm singing. I get to go down there and talk and sing to these veterans about music ain't just about trying to become popular and make money and be famous. Music is about healing your soul, even if you don't have any wounds, even if you don't have PTSD, even if you're not a veteran, music can play that role. So instead of 45 minutes, I went double time. I did an hour and I couldn't stop. And I said, man, I'm sorry. They said, keep going, keep going. I was laughing. I was giggling. I was crying. I was going back. I was reviewing my whole life. And so I've been back a few times after that. And always with an amazing feeling of equal parts gratitude and humility for my parents that put me into that setting and gave me those values that so here, you know, and I wrote the theme song for our reality show. Sometimes there's blood, sweat, and tears on Alaska, the Last Frontier. You know, just a song about living the homestead life. And it's the only song I've ever written that's made me a little bit of money. So, you know, so here I am just singing songs about my life and interacting with veterans and using music to help heal each other. So that's a beautiful place to be.
It sure is.
That's great. You know, I think Mark and I started going out to Camp Southern Ground about 6 years ago. And as a matter of fact, Doug Johnson, I think you were there when Doug Johnson was there, weren't you? Yep. Doug wrote 3 Wooden Crosses and is a producer out in Nashville for our listening audience. That was one of the things that Mark and I were so drawn to that place because, you know, now you are a veteran, actually, Vietnam veteran, and you've experienced things like a lot of those veterans that come through Camp Southern Ground. You've experienced things that people like Mark and I who haven't been in the military and just weren't in those things. And you know, with Mark and I, the emotional side of it, of course, you know, if you're going through a down time, everybody has those, or if you're a happy time or whatever, you know, that's how that music, it just comes out of your soul. And I am a firm believer that real songs are better songs. I think about Harry Chapin and Cats in the Cradle. That's a perfect example. His wife actually wrote it, interestingly enough, wrote the lyric, and he said it just tore him up every time he sang it, but it basically, she was writing it about him, and so it was real. Another real song was Amazing Grace, John Newton, which it's been around for a short period of time now, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of
But
it's kind of
that
stood
was
the
a
test
real
of time.
story as well. So I'm totally, that's what's the beauty of the Camp Southern Ground writing with veterans. Now, you told me when I reached out to you a few weeks ago that you were about to head to Nashville. I think in a week or two coming up. Tell us about that project because it directly has something to do with what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, until a few years ago, uh, I was, I think I was mostly ashamed to be a veteran coming from the Vietnam
Mm-hmm.
era.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, didn't talk about it, didn't wear hats that had veterans on it or anything. So then serendipitously, somehow, I get into this, and now I'm using my music, interacting with other veterans. After my first time at Camp Southern Ground, I said, I have a dream of starting a wilderness, nature based veterans camp up in Alaska, out in the wilderness. And Guy Jacquier said, how many guys can you take? I said, 8. Poof, he sent me 8 veterans, build it and they'll come. Hell, they came and I had to hurry up and build a camp. I had to hurry up and build a bunkhouse. And so that was pretty cool. And so now here I am using my music and healing my soul and helping other veterans heal. So last summer we had 12 people up there, 2 civilians, uh, one spouse of a veteran, and then the other were veterans. Uh, Amazing. I mean, it would take too long to go into the deep and profound uh, changes and
Mm-hmm.
healing that these people went through after walking 10 miles to get there, and
Wow.
then fasting for 24 hours and
Mm.
sitting in solitude for 24 hours. It's a bad comparison, but you think of what you've heard about the Vision Quest of some of the American natives,
Sure.
uh,
Sure.
rites of passage that a
Yeah.
lot of indigenous cultures have had. So some of these veterans, after fasting for 24 hours, being out there all alone, hearing voices, looking at the sky, the clouds, little animals, squirrels, ermines, shrews come by, eagles, ravens, and they all had something to say. And even the people who didn't believe in a higher power uh, or had a different way of describing God, I mean, stuff came back to them that they'd forgotten. Horrendous
Mm.
child abuse, horrendous things that they
Mm.
blocked out from combat. So 2 of those veterans had such powerful experiences uh, that I ended up writing a song with 2 of them. Uh, the one guy, he was sleeping under a birch tree, and he just, you know, not fasting, not eating anything. Pretty soon he just felt like he was just scattered out in the clouds, and the roots of that tree just jerked him back down. When he'd start to get scattered again, that tree jerked him back, and he had some profound, amazing experiences. So we wrote a beautiful song together, and then the other guy had some experiences. Come to find out, even though he's 50, I'm 78, so what, that 28 years older, he's the age of my kids. Different war, different
Yeah.
generations.
Yep.
But he and I, similar childhoods, similar traumas, similar challenges throughout life with anger and and repeating things that our fathers did to us. And we looked at each other, and I just said to him, you know what? This stuff will keep coming up again and again. It came up for me 2 days ago. I'm 78. You're
Mm-hmm.
only 50. You're only 50. But every time it comes up, you deal with it. Comes up again, you deal with it again and
Mm.
again and again. So that's the name of our song, again and again and again.
I
Great
love it.
And
title.
about
Mm.
young guy and old guy meeting out in the wilderness, finding out how much they had in common and how they kind of helped each other. So what a unbelievable, I'm going to call it a miracle that
Yeah.
now we put the experience into words, added music,
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to Nashville to, like publish it, to put it in concrete. Our voices and the message is going to be out there, whether it gets one hit or 5,000 or goes viral or whatever in the hell songs do these days. The main miracle is a real thing that happened was captured in a song, and whether it affects one or 10 or 500 or 5,000, and my voice is getting, because I'm so hard of hearing, I'm pretty pitchy. Uh, so I'm going to sing a little on one song and then maybe do a little spoken echo after he sings a line. I'll say it,
Mm-hmm.
spoken. The other song again and again. I wrote a poem, so I'm going to read a verse for the intro music. Then halfway through the song, a little interlude music will be some more of my poem, and then at the end, the outro. Well, so we're trying a couple different things, and I think I'm about as excited, and I've recorded. I don't know, I got 8 or 10 recordings out there somewhere in the
Mm-hmm.
clouds, Spotify, or wherever those things live, and but I'm about as excited as I've ever been to record these 2 songs with these
That is
veterans.
awesome.
That's
So,
so cool.
let's talk about the nuts and bolts of that. So you're going to go to Nashville. Are you hiring musicians to do the instrumentation, or are you going to be? Are you just going there to have to use the studios out there?
Oh, no, no, I would never let Nashville musicians sully these pure spiritual songs. No, Jeff Jeff Doherty is a bluegrass picker, guitar, bass, mando. So I think we'll have that. That's all we want on that. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it to a click track just so it's on tempo. So if we did want to add something at some point, the other guy, Steve Wilson, he plays guitar, and I think he has a friend who has already laid down a piano track. So so that one may get produced a little more.
Okay. Did you have
Mm-hmm.
a studio picked out, or is it one of those guy studios?
Well, no, it's Joe West. You've met Joe West.
I believe so.
Joe West was at Camp Southern Ground 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
He's a Nashville singer songwriter producer. In fact, he teaches veterans how to produce records, how to produce songs.
Gotcha.
So he came to Alaska last year, and I let him stay at our place up there for free, and said we'll just do a trade out. So he's not charging us anything for this
Oh,
recording
that's
time.
awesome.
And if you know anything about Nashville, that can get pretty pricey.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, that's awesome. So that's a great story. Now you are not in Alaska right now. Tell me where you are, and or tell the people out there in podcast land
Podcast land.
where you are. I think you actually kind of bounce between a couple of places during the year,
Well,
right?
we have a little townhouse here in Green Valley, Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
and I always say that with a little bit of in a hushed tone, look over my shoulder, make sure nobody's listening. Because as a kid growing up in Homer, we made fun of snowbirds, people that got to the point where they couldn't handle winter anymore. So now, guys my age, we sit around the coffee shop and we support each other. We say, it's okay. It's okay. I go to Arizona too. Well, I go to someone else over there says, I'm going to Arizona too. So it's okay. It's okay. We spend a little time down here where the life's a little easier, no ice to fall down on, and I'll be going back. Actually, I'll be going back to Alaska in February, and so yeah, back and forth.
Now, what part of Alaska are you in?
We live in Homer, which is south of Anchorage, a couple hundred miles. It's right on the coast of Kachemak Bay, which goes up to the Cook Inlet up towards Anchorage. So we're in the southern coast, so it's usually a lot milder there in the coast than it is inland.
Gotcha. Mark, you got what you got? I see your
Well,
thinking.
first, I just want to say thank you for your service because, Craig and I both, as he mentioned, we've both been to Camp Southern Ground. Neither one of us were actually in the military, but we both come from military families. Both of our fathers were in the military.
Yep.
My grandfathers were. So but I don't think we could say enough thank you for the people that, served and getting to write with some veterans like you have. It was such they keep saying thank you so much, and I kept saying thank you. Thank you for letting us do this with you, because it was uh, I feel guilty saying I got as much or more out of it than hopefully, I hope they got out of it too. But
Yeah.
it's such a cool experience to listen to people, what they went through, and then try to teach them how to vent that in a song, and how
Yeah.
to, and I'm right there with you, brother. There is nothing more healing than music. And,
Yeah.
and I say that, I know my father, when he went through heart issues many years ago, he literally sat, when he got back from all the surgeries, he literally sat on his deck overlooking the ocean and listened to classical music for 6 weeks, and he said, he goes, it saved my life. It healed me. And I firmly believe that. So
Yeah.
I would love to know, I guess, I don't know if it's even a question, but tell me, kind of go a little more into what you were talking about, how the healing process of nature, and of the healing process of, maybe tell some stories about bringing some people out to Alaska that I'm sure not many of us have been to Alaska or have had the opportunity to go there. So, and it is a whole nother world out there. What was it like for a city guy, a city slicker like me, to come to Alaska, hike 10 miles, fast for 24 hours? If I hiked 10 miles and fast for 24 hours, I'd probably be hearing all kinds of voices too. But, what was it like to get that rough, to get that break through that shell, and then all of a sudden see the real person, see the real person come through after they, your process, which I think is great. What's it like?
Yeah, boy, that is a wonderful, beautiful question, and would take a very long answer, like
I
a
totally
doc, a doc,
understand.
a documentary.
Absolutely. We
Uh,
could make a documentary of it, but I just,
you know,
you can give me
yeah,
the Cliff Notes
yeah.
version.
I think most, if not everybody, would agree about the healing power of music. There's been, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of research done about that,
Mm-hmm.
scientific research. Okay, calm, blood pressure, heart, whatever. Uh, that's just music. Lot of research out there about the healing power of nature. A few years ago,
Agreed.
my daughter had a wellness festival with Kroger's. She and Kroger put on this health and wellness festival, and a woman was there and gave me the name of a book called The Nature Fix. And I read it. I couldn't stop. It was written by a female scientist,
Mm-hmm.
very readable. But I got a master's in social work and psychology, so I know a little bit about research. You got different groups and you compare them and then you switch and blah, blah, blah. They'd wire up these people, take their measurements before they went out, brain waves, skin, heart, blood pressure, all that. And then, then to see what all these little gauges that they're wired to did. Oh, by water, everything calmed down.
Mm-hmm.
Around greenery, green, green, we calmed down. One group took a cell phone out with them, didn't get to talk. They just carried the cell phone. The other group didn't take a cell phone. The group that took a damn cell phone out there, nothing went down. They went out with high blood pressure. They came back with high blood pressure. So, I mean, it blew my mind, and I thought, wow, I wasn't just
Mm.
imagining as a kid. When I went out there, uh, dysfunctional, abusive family, more father, mother. She just kind of did the best she could. But, it was real when I went out there and hugged a tree or laid in the roots. What I felt, I wasn't just making up. So
Yeah.
good
Mm-mm.
documentation about music, good documentation about nature. And then when you add a spiritual element, in this
Mm-hmm.
case, in this case, inviting people to just go out and open themselves to hearing and seeing what they need, and then they come back, and my two co-workers, guides, the founders of this particular style, they have had such training and so many experiences where the questions they ask, they come back, a person will come back and say, yeah, well, I heard the raven and I thought he was angry and scolding me. Okay, well, what was he saying? What was he angry about? And before long, these people are guided through uh, questions, and stuff just comes out, stuff that was triggered, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just it's unbelievable what people get in touch with and then are able to just let go of,
Right.
I saw the very room. I remembered for the first time in my life. I was 5 years old,
Mm.
and I saw my abusers for the first time, and now I'm 45, 50, and I saw them and I forgave them, and
Mm.
that burden was lifted. I didn't even know it was a problem. On and on,
Wow.
story after story that people aren't making up.
That's
Um,
so beautiful. That's so
so
beautiful.
and then to that's my backyard.
Yeah.
I know all those places.
Mm-hmm.
So the nature inspired my music, my songs, and even if the veterans that come out there are not singer songwriters,
No.
there's still music, there's still stories, there's nature, and it. I compare it to a religious experience. We hear about those a lot.
Right.
Laying on hands, faith healing,
Sure.
hallelujah, revival meetings. And you can't argue with that.
No.
And this is just the same, only different. The
It's
same
just as
good stuff.
powerful. It's just as
Yeah,
powerful. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I want
yeah,
to say a few things about what you said. If you've lived long enough, like we have, not that we've lived long enough, but if you if you've
Hmm.
lived for a while, like we have, you're going to find out that people are all the same everywhere you
yeah.
go. And from my experience, with Camp Southern Ground, riding with veterans, not all the veterans have been in battle. They're not shell shocked. They're not trying to,
Hmm.
get over the fact that they just saw their best buddy killed next to them. In fact, I don't even know what the percentage of veterans are that have that experience there, but every one of them is there for a reason, and there's a lot of them there. It could be
Hmm.
trying to fit back into civilian life. It could be an abusive spouse. It could be children that have just gone off the chain, that they have no control, so they've lost control of their lives, and that's affected them mentally. And that to me is the beauty of growing and understanding as a human. And we had a fellow named Wizard, who was a bass player from Mother's Finest, on two nights ago. We did his
Hmm.
interview. He'll be up shortly on Spotify with us. And we were talking about this kind of thing, about the spiritual nature of the thinking nature, the critical thinking nature of being that type of musician and artist. Many artists are they're just there grooving and partying, man. Well, there's those, but the ones that are actually thinking and actually trying to grow as a human are great. Now, I read something back in the late '70s. It was a book called what was the name of that book? Gosh, I had it. Now I don't. But it was done by the Bulgarians, and it was all about classical music and Baroque music. Oh, Super Learning, I think was the name of the book. I think it's right. It's been a while. And I may have some of the details wrong, but I've got the general idea correct. And that was they did an experiment where they would play Baroque music, like water music or that type of music, while you were reading a book and studying something. And they found out that if you listened to Baroque music while you were studying, the retention of what you were reading was way higher than it was normally. And it was a concrete study. And I believe what they said was it was because your body, your breathing, and your heartbeat would get in line with the music. It would just start taking on that rhythm. And because of that, and there's that aspect, Otz, that's just, we can't explain it.
Yep.
However music came into being and whoever put it into play is way smarter than all
Yeah.
four of us
Yeah.
combined. But the
Yeah.
whole point is there's something there, and it's beautiful. And I'm from Miami. I grew up in Miami, so I grew up going to the Keys and spending my summers down there in that tropical environment. And I loved it. But when I moved up at 10 years old and came up to Georgia, and all of a sudden I was introduced to the Blue Ridge Mountains and the rivers and the changes of the colors and all that, all of a sudden I went, okay, life is going to be really good, because I was one of those kids, just like most people have issues. If
Yeah.
I got a buddy who said, if you find somebody who doesn't have problems or has their life together, you don't know them well enough. That's the bottom line.
Or
You
check
just
their
don't know 'em.
pulse because they're dead.
Yep.
And I still go up. I still have to get to a point where, man, I got to go up to Amicalola Falls. Where the approach trail to the Appalachian Trail is, and that's my go-to. There's creeks, big old trees, and trails, and no sound except for just nature.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long. It's like taking a pill that it just takes a little bit of time. Then all of a sudden you feel the effects of it, and it's totally natural and beautiful. So that's it. I suspected you were into that kind of nature stuff, man, somehow.
Yeah, and you when you combine the two, like I have so many songs that came to me and gave me answers that I was looking for that I didn't even really know I needed. So to me, I compare it to people who believe in prayer. They say, God, please help me, and God gives them an answer. I'm not going to argue with that. When I'm out in nature, I wrote one song. You know how it is when you're not singing or playing guitar, you can't remember a damn word of your song. But the verses are just, what can I do to get these clouds out of my sky? When will these clouds be gone from my sky? I just want happy and nice, and my goal for years. And I kept writing more verses. No answer came. Then one day it was a stormy sky, raining, and then sun shining, and black clouds, and the wind blowing around. And I could, if you guys ever come up, I'll show you the exact place where that chorus dropped out of the sky, and it goes, you can't blow them away, you can't wish them away, you can't scare them away. They're just clouds, but you can change your point of view. They decorate the blue, doing what clouds do. They're just clouds.
I love it.
That's awesome.
And that there's been books written about that. There's been seminars, but that came just to me. Those were words that I needed to hear. You can't scare them away. You can't wish them away. You can't blow them away because they're clouds. But you can change your point of view. You know what? They decorate the blue, and you know what? They're just clouds doing what clouds do. So now I use that metaphor. I just went through lung surgery recently. They removed most of my left lung because of a cancer tumor, and it's played havoc with my emotions. I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm emotional. It's just part of my healing from the surgery. And
Mm-hmm.
I tell myself that every day. Okay, there's clouds up there, but they'll pass. They'll pass. They're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna. They don't have to dictate. I can change my point of view. Okay, I'm feeling this. I'm experiencing this. So yeah. I mean, maybe sometime if we do another one of these, I could just read some of the lyrics
Would
from
love to.
some of these songs that
Mm.
that came tailor made just for me. I just strum my guitar and pretty cool.
Well,
That is well. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just gonna say, I think you should add philosopher to your list of things that you do, because I could listen to you talk like that all day long, and
Well,
it's refreshing and it's beautiful. And first, I wish you healing, and we would love to have you back on.
well,
Absolutely.
thank you. To me, this I find little miracles and I blow them up and I make a big deal out of them. When you said add philosopher, well, my brother, since the reality show was doing a pretty a successful YouTube channel, his son Ivan, my son Otsley, and I've decided I'm going to do a YouTube channel, but instead of doing more wilderness homestead out there living the wildlife, I just want to sit, talk about my songs, talk about nature, just this kind of stuff. And
I'll
if
be one of your
people
first subscribers. I
hey,
will be one of your first subscribers.
well, I'll come back on your podcast and we'll do the what's it called, the debut. We'll do
I love it.
the release of my YouTube channel right here.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love it.
And before we let you go, uh, can you tell us? Let me see. We're gonna put your memoir up. Is there anything else that you've got going that social media wise or just promotion wise that we can let everybody know
Well,
is available? Is there anything there?
I wrote a memoir, Son of a Midnight Land, I think back in 17 or 18,
Yeah,
and
we're gonna post that for you.
it did really well. I'm working on a second one that's
Oh,
almost
good.
done.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
at some point, I've had 8 recordings, over 100 songs out there on Spotify and whatever other platforms, but I've never told anybody. Now people stumble on it, and so I make a little money, and I hear that someone down in Argentina or over in Italy listened to one of my songs, and that's kind of cool. But one of these days, I'm gonna get on social media and say, "Hey, all you fans out there, I forgot to tell you that for the last 5 years, I got all these songs out there. Check them out." So
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I don't. I
we'll make sure we post your Spotify link
Beautiful.
so that people can find that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Any final words?
No, I'll just put in a last plug for gratitude. The older I get, the more grateful I am for my parents, what they went through. Walking horses, plowing fields, all with a horse, uh, putting up
Mm.
hay with a scythe, cutting hay with a scythe to feed the cow, to have the calf, to give the little family milk. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
amazing stuff they went through, and so that's another one of my little things I try to do when too many clouds gather in the sky. I try to think of all those things that I'm grateful for.
That's
Amen.
healing. Well, man, we
Amen.
love you, brother, and we are so honored to have you. And it's good to see you again.
It's
And
been such a pleasure, sir. It's been such a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
you
Thank
can
you. And we'll meet again.
Yes, we will.
absolutely have a wonderful weekend, sir.
Thank you. You guys too.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you, Mark. Bye bye.
Nice
Thank you.
meeting you too, sir.
Bye bye.